Welcome, everybody, to Challenged Athletes Live. My name is Bob Babbitt, co-founder of Challenged Athletes Foundation. My next guest, 2018 Ironman World Championship finisher, Mr. Glenn Hartrick. Glenn, how you doing, bud?
I'm great. That sounds tremendous. Every time I hear you say it, I can't get it enough.
Well, it's well-deserved, man. That was a hell of a journey to get there. So before you got into the whole endurance thing and did over 250 running, triathlon, and cycling events, growing up, were you a runner? What was the background?
I mean, I ran a little bit. I always tend to have a little bit of endurance. So I love playing soccer and baseball and football and, and basketball. And, it was always team sports. And I always found that, I could outrun anybody. So when we had to run sprints, like sideline to sideline, I loved it. I was in my element, and this was kind of my thing. And so, I should have put two and two together and really parlayed that over into, endurance sports early on. But no, it was team sports and physical sports and, hand-eye coordination, all that. And yeah, I just was competitive from the very beginning, and I think I got that from my dad. I'm still very, very competitive. But yeah, from day one, I was ready to go.
So when did you find the wonderful world of endurance? Because you didn't just put your toe in. You basically dove in. When you go from not really doing any of this stuff to being a cover runner's world, doing 250 events all over the planet, what got you into that?
So, yeah, I mean, I say I was getting a little bit older. I was out of college for a couple of years, and I'd always heard of these marathons, and it's kind of like these bucket list items that people have. And it was one of the things where 2006 rolls around, and I mean, I was 25 years old, wasn't I? I was old at the point, but I decided to sign up for the lottery and figured I could, kind of check this off the list while I was still young. I was in an adult baseball league, and I signed up, and about pretty much this time in 2006, I got an email from New York Roadrunners that said, "Congratulations, you got into the New York City Marathon." And I didn't quite know nearly at all what to expect, and so the first thing I did was that weekend, I said, well, you know what? I should go and try to set a barometer. And I went and found a local 5K and said, you know what? I finished it. It wasn't the end of the world. I'm not starting from ground zero with nothing. So, I found an online training program and tried to follow that, did it very liberally, and crossed the finish line and was completely exhausted and told myself, never again. I will never do another marathon. But as you might have alluded to, next year rolls around and I registered for the marathon and I got in, and then kind of the rest was kind of history after that. And it just sucked me in from mile 26.2.
Were you a technology guy early on? Like you said, you went online to find out more about training. Were you right away getting into heart monitor and all the rest of that?
No, not from the beginning. I mean, from the beginning, it was just, let me find a plan. I mean, I didn't know really many runners at the time. I wasn't in a running group or community. I said, you know what, let me just Google, beginning training plan. And that's what I did. And I tried to follow it. And, it worked out okay. It could have been much better, but it kind of gave me a greater appreciation for training and preparation as we go into some of these events.
So the move from marathon to, marathon's cool, but I'd really like to swim 2.4 and ride 112 before running a marathon. When did that happen?
So 2009 rolls around, and I got wind of this thing called a triathlon, and I bought a $100 bike off Craigslist, which is very similar to your story as well.
Yeah.
With your bike, but I went into a local race at the Jersey Shore, and I saw people with these MDOT tattoos, and first of all, my very first foray into triathlon was no swimming experience. I show up at the Jersey Shore in the Atlantic Ocean, and there's these swells coming in, and I was like, I didn't think that this was going to be right for me, but I did it, and I was exhausted, and I loved it, and I knew I was hooked. And in the back of your mind, Ironman and World Championships, that's the holy grail of our, that's the Super Bowl of our sport. And, anything is possible, as they say. And so I had some kind of sights set that, 2009 is the time. Let me sign up for Ironman Wisconsin, and I did. And I went out there and had a very memorable experience. It was very tough and challenging, but I finished it. I got my medal, and heard my name as I crossed the finish line. That Glenn Hartrick, you are an Ironman. So it was good.
So flashing ahead, you're doing a ton of races. June 12th, 2014, you're training, and a car makes a U-turn in front of you, and you end up in the hospital paralyzed from from the waist down. As a, you are one of those positive, upbeat, glasses always overflowing type of guys. How did you react to your new lot in life?
I had just finished Ironman Texas 2 weeks before, and I'm in the best shape of my life. And I'm someone that, I don't need anybody or didn't need anybody to help me. I was very independent and self-reliant. And again, I just finished Ironman Texas in a little under 10 hours. So, I go from that to 2 weeks later, I'm in a hospital bed and I can't move. And I didn't know at the time that I was paralyzed. People didn't want to tell me. They wanted me to, make sure that I was, kept a positive mental aspect, an outlook on life and keep challenging. But once that I realized that, along with, my, 9 broken ribs, my broken jaw and scapula, my collapsed lungs and blood clots and, all of those things that I was actually paralyzed, it took a moment for me to kind of come to grasps with it. But I said, you know what, this has happened. I got to move on. And you've heard me say it many times before. I have to live life through the windshield and not the rearview mirror. And that's exactly how I lived my life then and to this day, right? Bad things happen. This was certainly a bad thing, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I have to change my mindset, change my attitude, and do every single thing I can to be the person that I want to be. And I know I can be. And that's what I've tried to do every single day since then.
What I found fascinating was usually people, there's a downward spiral of depression that goes on. And I'm sure you dealt with that. But at the same time, you were grabbing the wheelchairs at the hospital and setting them up on Strava, right? Getting your Strava stuff hooked up, going out to the parking lot in an everyday chair and basically setting course records in some random parking lot. I mean, how important in terms of creating normalcy, because that's what you would have done on the bike or the run anyways, to add that in, how important was that?
I mean, it was vitally important. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm doing PT and doing OT and I'm trying to lift the 1 pound and 2 pound pink and purple weights. And, I'm getting very frustrated because, again, I'm in the best shape of my life. And now I can't even do that. I can't put on a shirt. I can't put on socks and shoes and shorts. And I can't brush my hair. So I go from best shape of my life to all of a sudden there's nothing that I can do. And, once I saw that there was a wheelchair and once I saw that there was this hand cycle in the outpatient facility, I knew that was going to do a couple things for me. One, it was going to help bring back any realm of normalcy, but that whole competitiveness and that fire that I've always had in me, I knew that it would kind of generate, the next level of adaptation to my new lifestyle that I had. And by them giving me and letting me use the wheelchair and the hand cycle out in the parking lot, setting those Strava segment records, that inherently motivated me because it returned to normalcy. It challenged me. It pushed me. So, because guess what? Today, I can do it in the parking lot for the first time. I can do a lap in 5 minutes. So tomorrow, it's going to be 4:55. And the next day, it's going to get better and better and better. And that positive reinforcement goes a long way in life for people to continue to push past barriers and perceived limitation that we all have.
So you told me something that has stuck with me since our first interview together. You told me early on that you understood that you were the barometer for everybody around you. That when they came into the hospital, if you were sad, if you were, oh my God, what's my life going to be, that they were as paralyzed as you were, that they couldn't move forward in their life. Yeah. But if you were upbeat and I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that, then they could move on with their lives. Obviously, you had people you could confide in for the things that were really bothering you, but you needed to be able to let them move on with their life. How long did it take you to realize that?
It was very quick. I mean, my mom was the word. I mean, mom is being mom, right?
Of course.
She's a worry. I mean, God bless her. She's no longer with us, but I mean, she slept in my hospital room, for 60 days. I mean, well, I'm not on and off, but she's trying to be a mother, take care of me, and I'm like, Mom, you got to take care of yourself. Like, I'm fine, and I'm going to prove that I'm okay, and I'm getting back to doing the things that I can do. But this is not how you're going to help me. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. We're going to work together. So not only was it with her, but it was the entire multi-sport and running community that, so I mentioned originally that I didn't know anybody. So fast forward, I've been doing this now, going on 8 years at that point. And I've formed and created this incredible network, a bond of friends and family that loves the sport, loves helping each other and pushing each other. Yeah, we're all competitors, but we generally want everybody to succeed and be successful and do the best that they can be, right? So I think everybody realized that this could be them, right? So, you know, we all ride bikes. We all know people that have had close encounters, right? So, you know, they gravitated towards me in the hospital, and they realized very quickly that I'm going to be okay, they're going to be okay, and we're going to work this out together. And I wanted to show them that I was okay because I didn't want them to cut me any slack. I wanted them to keep pushing me and challenging me, because guess what? A couple months later, I'm at the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and they get brought into my life, and I realized that hand cycling is the way to go. And so whenever I filled out the application, I got my first hand cycle. I'm sitting out there. You've seen the pictures. There's 3 feet of snow banks in New Jersey. I want those same people, and I didn't have to ask, those same people that I used to ride with every single morning came out there. They're pushing me. They're challenging me. They want to see my files, my data, and keep making sure that, you know, my power numbers keep going up. You know, so it's a galvanizing group of individuals. It's the best friends that I have. And you know what? I wouldn't be where I am today, you know, certainly without that same group of people. And then obviously, you know, CAF behind that as well.
So technology, right? You were like setting up Strava when you were still in the hospital.
Yeah.
I think I remember how excited you were when you first put electronic shifting on the hand cycle, right? Talk a little bit about the different technology that you had GoPros set up right away on your hand cycle. The technology and Double N, you guys are sort of hand in glove.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I had been on Strava for a while before the accident, and you know, it became my repository for all my training workouts. You know, my coach would see the training workouts. You know, we would train. You know, wouldn't be speed, it'd be heart rate and power meter, right? So you know, you would do these incremental improvements, and again, that was inherently motivating then, and it certainly played the part, you know, after the fact as well. So after the accident, I mean, you know, you mentioned it, you know, we got it on the hand cycle, and you know, funny story, you know, obviously you know, in the accident, my bike, you know, broke in half, the frame cracked in half the carbon, but my rear wheel was a power tab in 808, and so we brought it, and there was nothing wrong with it. It had the power meter in there, and that's the front wheel on my hand cycle right now. So it has the same power meter that I've used from the very beginning when I used to race triathlon, right, as an able-bodied athlete. So same power meter, different result, but it gave me a baseline of where I needed to be and where I was starting from. So that was key. We put GoPros on the back of bikes. We even live streamed my first couple half marathon and marathons back over the internet. So all my friends and family were following along the 26.2 miles with me. So that was really cool, and that was encouraging. And I hear them in you know, my ear, you know, encouraging me, telling me to pick it up, and the same things they would say before, they were yelling again. So you know, it's been really instrumental in making sure that we had a plan, right? So you know, if we didn't have kind of a strategy and we were just living it, that's one thing, both in recovery and in multi-sport. But with technology these days, you know, Strava, with Zwift, you know, it gave us, you know, an opportunity to, you know, set the plan and monitor it, right? And no different than I do with work, right? Setting these SMART goals that were specific and measurable and attainable, relatable, and timely. You know, we did that for the first marathon, and then we did that for what you see behind me, the first Ironman. I came back at Ironman Florida. So, and that led me to be able to finish, right? Because I go from, you know, doing the New York City, you know, Olympic triathlon, jumping back into a full Ironman. And it gave me an opportunity to push myself and challenge myself. But luckily I knew from my previous past, you know, what data meant and what training requirements meant. And I had a, you know, the fortitude of, hey, you know what, you know, I knew what Ironman meant to me as an athlete. And I knew the requirements that I needed from a training perspective to make sure I was as successful as I needed to be on race day. And the data, the technology allowed me to make sure that I used those same resources as a physically challenged athlete as I did before.
So finishing Florida was great, obviously, but you had never, as an able-bodied guy, done Kona. So no. 2 years ago, you got to do Kona and be at the Holy Grail, right? That is the play. Actually, the photo behind me is from the 79 Ironman of the 15 idiots on the beach. Coming across that finish line, you know, knowing that in 2014 your life changed forever, but here you are on the biggest stage in the most important event in our sport, crossing that magical finish line with Mike Riley calling your name.
Yeah. I mean, it was, hold on, I have.
Oh, yeah.
So my bib from number 120, it's a constant reminder, right, of all the kind of challenges and trials and tribulations. And back in 2012, I'll start off by 2012. So I did Ironman New York, and I missed the Kona qualifier by less than 2 minutes.
Oh, that's right.
And when you look at my transition time, it was lost in transition. So as difficult and frustrating as it was for me, when I was sitting in the roll down, right, they're doing the roll down, and I'm the next one to be called, and there's no slot for me, you know. So that moment kind of stuck with me. I'm watching the Michael Jordan documentary, and it's kind of like when the coach cut him, you know, that moment stuck with me and really kind of fueled the fire over the next few years. And then obviously my return to getting Kona, and I knew that nothing was going to stop me from crossing the finish line back in 2008.
I love it. So we're going rapid fire now, bud. Best CAF memory.
Oh, best CAF memory. I mean, it's the CAF Gala, the first CAF Gala that I joined, that I came to, right, shortly the next year after the accident in 2015. You know, getting to meet the other challenged athletes. I mean, Rudy Garcia Tolson and I have become really good friends. You know, but meeting the other CAF athletes, hearing their stories, and then creating bonds with those individuals, and then seeing these kids start to grow up, and they're like adults now. It's pretty cool.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Oh, Tex-Mex. I'm from Texas, so
Of course.
fajitas, Southwestern, love it.
Most recent TV binge.
TV, the Michael Jordan documentary.
It's been amazing. Favorite book or podcast?
I listen to Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports Radio every single day.
I love Colin.
He's great.
Person you miss seeing the most during this craziness?
Oh, I certainly miss my mom, who passed away 2 years ago this summer. But yeah, I mean, I've seen everybody virtually, other than, you know, people that are important to me. You know, I've stayed connected, remained, you know, Zoom meetings, WebExes, that sort of thing, virtually. So, you know, it's been it's brought people back together, which has been kind of nice.
Place you can't wait to visit when this is over?
Kona.
What words do you love to hear from a coach?
Ooh. I mean, the one that popped in my mind was you're lollygagging, which means I need to pick it up and push a little harder.
What words do you hate to hear from a coach? Probably the same thing.
Probably the same thing. Yep.
Love it. Hey, Glenn, thanks so much, bud, for being such a great part of the CAF family. We love having you just do what you do, bud. And the cool part is you got your grant for this year, and you didn't take it because you wanted to go to somebody else who might need it more, because there won't be much racing in 2020. We really appreciate that.
Yep. No, we're all in this together. And, you know, I know what it did for me, and I know it certainly can do the same for anybody else and other people. So it's great organization to be a part of.
Glenn Hartrick has been our guest on Challenged Athletes Live. I hope you guys tune in again next time. Until then, see ya.